Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2DN1 Podcast. My name is Dokuro Jim. Jas, tell them your name. Yeah? Yeah. And we are joined today by the lovely Adrenaline 153, my homie of homies, of the homie. Drino, tell them who you are and what you do.
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Adrenaline. I do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Let's go down.
Jim, what you got?
No, I swapped us over. We're swapped over, baby. We're
Fine on my end.
we're swapped over, but we are. I see it. Okay. Yeah, just make sure. We Gucci? Okay, good. Good. Yes, the Marshalls. Okay. They're working. But yeah, tell them who you are and what you do for those people that may not know. You can only hear. Hold on. They can only hear me. Why can you? Hold on.
Hold on.
Can you hear them now?
Can you hear me now? How about now?
How about now? Okay, good. Of course, technical difficulties after not streaming for a little bit. It's all right. It's okay. It's good.
All right, neato. But hi, everyone. I'm Adrenaline, or Adren for short. I guess today the relevant thing is I run a LARP and have been running the same LARP for now 13 years, so hell yeah.
Which I do want to point out how impressive that is as somebody who's very big into the LARP community. Not a lot of LARPs live past 13 years, and even the ones that did died during the pandemic. So, like, absolutely impressive.
Yeah, that's for real. Like, I haven't even been... Like, I didn't even know LARP existed till, like, I was, like, at least 13. So, it's impressive to me. I don't guess that's a lot of time in retrospect, but it's impressive to me that you can have that run and up and have people coming to it for so long, you know.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely nuts. When someone pointed out, that we were running for 10 years, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible?
Mm-hmm. But mainly what I wanted to talk about today, and obviously we're going to defer into other topics, but the main thing I wanted to talk about is LARP in general and my experience with the LARP and you guys' experience with LARP in general, because I've noticed that just because I talked to a bunch of people before I left for this LARP, not a lot of people understand what LARP is. Like, maybe they've seen the movie Role Models, which has, LARPing as one of its prevalent themes in the movie. Have both of you seen that movie? So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Drano, have you seen Role Models?
I have not seen it, but I have seen bits and pieces, and I understand the basic concept.
Yeah, but I feel like when I say LARPing, I either get, oh, I don't know what that is, or, oh, you mean like in Role Models? So, like, I feel like that's the one thing that people have been exposed to that's really, like, prevalent in subculture. I don't know how to exactly say it, but that's, like, prevalent to a normie, a normal person that does not run around in a field and throw beanbags at people, specifically Adrenaline. I remember specifically, I beamed you in the face. And I don't know if you remember, but I threw 20 shock at you, and because for those of you who don't know, when you're a spellcaster, I play a spellcaster named Caden. When you throw a spell, you throw a beanbag at someone, and I beamed Drino specifically in the face, and you just looked at me, and we just kind of looked at each other. We didn't say anything, but you just kind of looked at me, and I looked at you, and then you went back to being a monster. But I got you, like, square in the head, and you were just like, oh, all right.
I mean, it's better than Squidman's headshot like you did someone.
Oh, no. Well, so that's what I was afraid of, right? Is being beamed in the in the old cabeza, which it didn't happen because I was on the outside of fights. But Aaron Squidman, who, if you've seen any of our content over on Odyssey of Eternity's channel, plays Leaf and Mug and a bunch of other characters. He got hit in the nuts like 3 times that event, and all 3 times you're just like, I'm good.
Well, okay, so I can give some insight as to why.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he's tall.
Yeah, I guess because Aaron's a giant, and the rest of us are like dwarves in comparison.
As a fellow tall person, I can tell you, you will take more nut shots if you are tall at LARP. Also, you had started on a what is LARP tangent, and then we got into a different tangent. So going back to what is LARP,
yes,
I always like to say, if like anybody's like, oh, like role models, I always like to say kind of, but not exactly, because role models was very much so very clearly a PvP kind of LARP, where like PvP is allowed here, nothing's stopping it. But with this one, it's more set up kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but you get to hit people. It has a health point system. It has a damage number system. You're role playing a character. It's very medieval fantasy with some tech, although a bit more tech than D&D has. The PvP only happens if like it makes sense character wise. Where like normally what we're fighting are NPCs played by the people running the LARP.
Monsters and things like that.
Yep.
Generally, when people ask about my LARP specifically, I liken it to like Final Fantasy, where there's swords and shields and stuff, but there's also guns and airships, and so that's usually something that gives people a general idea of how my specific LARP kind of looks and runs.
Well, see, I thought it was really interesting because, like, I had never been to LARP at all. Like, this was my very first one, and the only like LARP exposure that I've had was I had watched some videos on YouTube a long time ago of people that had actually taken GoPros out, on their armor and like, done like first person like chivalry type, like, oh, this is me fighting someone, and I have no idea what LARP system it was. I just know that there was a dude with a giant halberd and he absolutely beat the shit out of an archer, and it was super funny. But so I had no idea what to expect. I was just like, okay, so I roughly know that spellcasters throw beanbags at people, and that's what I know. And then I was reading it, and I was like, okay, there's like incants. Okay, what are incants? It's like, okay, the spells that you say, like in D&D, when I'm describing Finn casting a lightning bolt, I get to do that shit. Like, but in character. So that was something that I kind of had to get used to, because like, it's very easy for brain to just go, monster, 20 shock. But no, I gotta remember I gotta say my shit, because it doesn't work otherwise. And so that was the thing that was different to me, and a little bit something that I had to get used to. And also another one of the things that I really enjoyed was at the very end of the LARP when you were playing the Dark God thing. I don't know what it was, but everyone just surrounded you. And those of you that are listening, I would like you to imagine a bunch of nerds in a circle just around one person going 5, 13, 24, 77, 45, 102, just like in this cacophony of numbers. And I just kind of stood there as the circle of infuckening happened. And I was just like, all right, this is LARP. Dope as fuck. Okay, cool, good, yes. Yeah, unless you have instant cast skills. So there are instant cast skills, but what I think is really cool about your LARP in specific, and because I looked up a couple other LARP systems after going to your LARP, I like how you guys have like the feats that you talk to the GM about, and those feats can literally be anything. So like just for everyone who's listening, who may or may not have been at the LARP, my character's feat, Caden, is that he can heal and add extra health and focus, which are your like, health and mana skills. At the LARP, he can add extra and also heal with his food. So if somebody ate something that I made, they got that little extra little bump, and I really enjoyed that because it's sort of, well, for one, it's customization, so you can make your character uniquely yours, which I love in things like this, and it really makes it feel like a tailor-made experience, because no one character is going to be the same or exactly the same. You may make two characters, or there may be two characters that have exactly the same skills. Like, you could take exactly the same skills, but you could have different feats or different talents. I think you called them, right? Talents. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, different talents. So even if you have the same exact skills, those characters are going to be different because of the talents that you work with the GMs to pick. And I think that's really cool, personally.
Yeah, it is really cool. It very much so combats some of the things that I have complaints with other LARPs, and even other things like, I mean, 5e's done a good job of differentiating, but like a lot of tabletop systems where, like, if you have a fighter and then you have another fighter, you have two the same. Like, it's just two the same thing. But and you'll see that a lot of other LARPs, especially the LARPs that do class systems. This is a classless LARP, amazing. You love to see it. But other LARPs that do class systems, you have like 12 people out there playing fighters. You have 12 of the same character.
Yeah, you end up having a lot of the same. Versus, I think if I was to do one, I don't know, because I see the benefit of a class system. What I'm saying, I see the benefit of it because it's very easy to balance. Balancing in a class system LARP, I can see being easier. But also I see the limitations of that being, just as you said, in 5e and other tabletop systems that work on a class system. Sooner or later you end up having a lot of the same fighter. While as something with this, with your LARP, you have it where it's, like I said, it's a completely tailor-made experience, and there are pros and cons to that as well. So I don't know. If I was going, I would love if we could, because I love the idea of having a class. Like, that just to me makes me feel good. It's like,
Well, the thing is, right, is technically, so if you look at Nick's character sheet, he has a class.
Talking about
it's
Shield
just
Kobold?
not, like Shield Kobold. Like, if you look at his sheet, he has a class. If you look at the build he's doing, he's a paladin. He is 100% a paladin. It's just that he's bad at playing that.
Oh, Nick.
But like, he is full on a paladin build, and like that was made with intent. Like, the great thing about a classless system is you can still play the class. You're just not nailed to it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just, and this may just be a Jim thing. Maybe it's just the fact that I like D&D has made me enjoy the trappings of a class-based system, I think. Just because D&D was my only exposure to role-playing for so long. Yeah. Like, I didn't know that, like, Starfinder or Stars Without Number or any other, role-playing game was a thing. I think, I think the very first role-playing game I played that wasn't D&D, I think it was... It must have been the Star Wars RPG. I think that was the first one. Like the original Star Wars D20 RPG. Or TTRPG. But for the longest time, I had no idea any of that shit existed. So my tendency towards, like that nice warm fuzzy feeling that a class-based system gives me, that might just be, my home feeling towards that, But that being,
so
go ahead.
I'm speaking from experience. So my first ever LARP, called oh god, I keep wanting to say Blind Fantasy now. Called Shadowed Realms. They had a class system, and I mean, I loved that LARP, but I loved the people from it. I didn't really enjoy the system too much. And then I moved on from that one. It shut down. Like a year later, I joined Abundant Few, and then I started branching out to a bunch of other LARPs. I had like a year where I didn't do any LARPing, and it killed me. And I branched off to a bunch of other LARPs, tried a bunch of different LARPs, and then started playing in Enlightened Fantasy. And now a friend of mine recently started to bring out their own LARP system, which is based very largely on the Shadowed Realm system. And looking at it, I don't know if I can even go because they're they're using the same class system, and class systems now feel gross because you feel nailed. You feel like yes, you can have a warrior that learns a spell.
Yeah.
It's going to take them like 8 levels, and they're not going to be able to do anything else during those 8 levels because they're saving up for that one spell.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Whereas if you wanna have a spell blade at Enlightened Fantasy, it's as simple as the next time I level up, I grab a spell.
Which I really do enjoy. It gives a lot of freedom, and I really dig that. But you were talking about other LARP systems, and I wanted to bring up something that my wife, the lovely Kitsu, has we talked about for a little bit, because we were talking about other LARP systems at the LARP, that last day. You talked about Dystopia Rising.
Yes.
And I have now decided that if I ever go to Dystopia Rising, that I'm going to try my best to build a nuclear Power Rangers team. Because it's in the 90s, right? It's like stuck in the 90s. What was really powerful? What was really popular in the 90s? Powerful and popular.
I think it's like early 2000s, actually, but a lot of things from the 90s are.
What? Yeah. Power Rangers was popular then, too.
Yeah.
But imagine, just imagine fucking, 8 or 9 people running around in spray painted like riot gear that's all spray painted one color, and then they're wearing bike helmets with like an atom, and they're called the Atom Rangers. Just imagine this.
Oh God, yes.
And they all have they all have weapons that are suited to their personality. So like somebody has 2 daggers, somebody has like an assault rifle, somebody has a bat with chains around it, and they all strike poses and talk in the very this is your final day, like the very overacted Power Rangers kind of persona, And my what?
I will do this with you.
Do it, Jim.
Please.
I am on board.
I want to do this, and then see, it's got so much shit we could do.
Because it really does.
There could be internal conflicts where the Green Ranger becomes evil, just like he did in MMPR, and is so much, and we could build I don't know what their rule on vehicles is. But real talk, we could build a go-kart that's a Megazord, okay? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I thought about this, okay?
It would be really, really, really neat. I would love to do that. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, so on the topic of having a Green Ranger that goes evil, right? Is what's really cool about their system, about the religious system in general. So for those that don't know, Dystopia Rising, set in the future, post-apocalypse, that when they look back at the past, they aren't quite sure what's going on. So there's a religious group called the Televisionaries who find TV scripts and believe that these are things to worship and live your life by. A good example is there's a televisionary who has found the early 90s cartoon Transformers TV script, and they worship that. So we would be essentially doing the Power Rangers, but modern day. As a religion. And there is actually a subsect, a cult, coming off the Televisionaries who are well, every hero needs a villain. Let's be that villain.
Yeah. No, just oh my God, we could have a tube with a face spray painted on it, and that's our idol. That's our fucking Zordon. That's our Zordon. That's our David Fielding. Shout out to David Fielding, by the way. I love you. I hope you're all right. He was sick a while ago. That's the original Zordon. Shout out to you. I love you. Big Papa Zordon. Hope you're okay. But I immediately my brain was like, we could do this and we could do this and because for those of you who don't know, for those of you who've never heard me spiel about Power Rangers before, I love Power Rangers so much in my
There are
heart.
people who exist that haven't heard you go on about Power
Yeah,
Rangers. I don't know about
yeah.
that, man.
I mean, they might have. There might be people that also Saban. Real quick, Saban, make a better Power Rangers fighting game. Battle for the Grid was ass. Okay, okay, Saban. All right. I shouldn't have to spend $5 on every character. It's cool that you put like every ranger in the game, okay? It's cool that you had all the people come back and voice them. Cool. But just release them in a pack. Don't make me have to pay. You want to be the Quantum Ranger? $6. Oh, you want to play the Yellow Dino Force Ranger? $6. Like, why? Why? Why are you so greedy? Just give me what I want. God dang
Jim,
it.
I adore you. Let's pour
Okay.
it back into LARP.
All right. LARP time. I'm sorry. Legitimately, I refunded that game. And it made me angry
Power Rangers time. What did you think we were here for?
refund it. I'm sorry. Yes, Malorna. Power Rangers is good. You should go watch at least Jungle Fury. Jungle Fury is good. Jungle Fury and Mystic Force and it's not Hurricane Ranger. Hurricane Ranger's Japanese one. Ninja Storm. Ninja Storm's real good. That's the three that I like though. I don't know. Zio's really good if you don't mind 90s cheese. But all right, back to LARP. Dystopia Rising sounds fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own complaints about the system, but so you know what? We were talking about systems and their faults and stuff. I'll actually get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So something I really love about Donovan's system, about Online Fantasy, is that they allow you to min-max if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
It can absolutely screw you if you do, but you can if that's what you want to do. Other LARPs that use class systems stop you from doing that by the virtue of the class system. You can't really min-max your forces spread throughout the class.
Yeah.
And then, whereas Dystopia Rising doesn't force you into a class, what they do is every time you spend points within a category of skills, so like if you're going for like resource skills, every time you get a level in a resource skill, your next level in any resource skill costs you more. And you can't get the next tier of skills until you've spent a certain amount of XP across all the board.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I really liked about Enlightened Fantasy, especially with your kobolds. Because if I may spiel about the kobolds for a minute,
Please.
I love that every single one of them is good at one thing. Like Shield Kobold is good at shield and shielding things. Peeler Kobold is good at leather peeling and gathering and stuff. You know, a healing Kobold is good at healing. Like, I love that you could just be like, fuck it, healing 10, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all I can do.
And like that was also the intent, was to like go with a group that like only min-maxed. So like if we're all together and you decide to fuck with us, you get erased. You cannot stop us.
But the functioning adult.
The problem is we're not always together. And especially with people's lives, like our group used to be like pushing on 14 people, and now only like 3 or 4 of us can like show up every time.
Well, that's why I wanted to make a kobold as my second character and be like magic smart kobold.
Yeah, I'm super here for it.
My name is Brain Kobold. I'm the kobold with 2 brain cells, as opposed to 1.
So occasionally they bounce off each other and you having a complete thought.
Yeah, be nice to Brain Kobold. He has 2 wrinkles. As opposed to the 1 wrinkle. But no, I really love, like, everyone's character who I saw, I really, really enjoyed. I'm trying to think of, Squidman was, of course, a highlight for me. I'm glad Squidman and Caden are friends. I really like Kobold. Kobold cut all of Caden's limbs off. So they're bonded by blood now. And also,
and it was to save his life.
it was 2 life debts repaid in the same instance. So,
yeah.
that was good. So now they're bonded by blood. They're brothers of scale and flesh. Um, I'm trying to think of like other people who I really, specifically, and this may just have been because it was hot, but specifically Fox playing Dag, the polar bear man who made snow cups. I
Oh my
enjoyed all
god.
those little interactions, just those little RP interactions. That was good. Um,
So I do want to bring up Fox real quick.
Mhm.
Fox used to be so like nervous to do any RP.
mhm,
And then seeing them like even do a voice for Dag was really great.
mhm. Yeah.
They're doing amazing. Like they're really thriving.
Yeah, so something also that I wanted to talk about is I was even a little trepidatious, and I love RP. I
Yeah.
think it's just the fact that you are RPing with people. You're around people. It's not like I'm sitting in my comfortable stream room, pretending to be a cowboy like I do on Red Dead. I'm by myself. I can be stupid, you know. But then, stuff happens and you're like, "Oh, I'm talking to real people." you know
Yep.
and so I think that was like I had a little wisp of nervousness. Like the first day I was like, oh, I gotta go be in character. But then after I did it, I was like, oh, this is the same. This makes me
Yeah.
feel the
Yep.
same. you know
Yep.
and then I had no problem, of course.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing out of everything was people didn't realize why Caden gives his food away for free. And then I wanted a snow cup, but Caden didn't have any money or anything to give Dag. And I was like, Healer Kobold, buy me a snow cup. I fed you. And Healer Kobold was like, I mean, you're right. Yeah. I was like, yeah, so buy me a snow cup. And he bought me a snow cup. And then I wanted the fire wand. I didn't have anything to trade for the fire wand because the merchant wouldn't take essence. So I said, hey, Squidman, Franklin, buy me the fire wand. I fed you. And he was just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, man. And he bought me the fire wand. And I love everybody thinks the unassuming cook, the guy who can't defend himself. Now he has a wand that can death strike something, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. That was my favorite part, was blackmailing everyone with food.
Yeah.
So, but I would really love, like, and this is my main thing. It was so fucking hot
Oh my god.
the
Yeah.
week of this LARP that drained my want to do half the shit that I did. Like the one day that I went stupid, go crazy, I spent the day after just like being like,
Yep.
And so that was the main problem. Was it was so hot I didn't feel like doing anything. We do this shit in like fall. Like we do this shit when it's like 60 something degrees, 50, 60 something degrees. I'm down, dog.
See, the issue is right. Is
Mhm.
Dano shuts down in the cold,
Yeah.
like fully turns off. You can hear the Windows power down sound the moment it
Get
gets
this
past,
boy
like,
a
50.
heated vest.
I talked about doing that. But like, so, and because of that, and because of Michigan's weather being so utterly unpredictable, and I know everybody's like, oh, our weather's unpredictable here. I mean, like, you literally, if you're checking the weather a week before, it is a
Good
futile
luck.
effort.
Mhm.
You can only check the weather like the week of, and then you'll get an accurate
No,
reading.
because I remember.
No, because
Go
you
ahead.
can check the weather the day of
Mhm.
and not be. I've looked at the weather, and it has said 0% chance of rain. I turn around and look at the window, and it is like downpouring. Okay,
Mhm.
Michigan does not know its own weather.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jim?
I was just gonna say the same thing happened to me because like the week before we came down on like the Wednesday before we were supposed to come down, I was like, okay, I'll look at the broadcasted forecast for that week, and it said like low 80s, 70s all week with some rain and some cloud cover, and I was like, fuck yeah, big dog, fuck yeah, and then Wednesday was like someone just opened up the gates of hell. So
Yeah.
that was wonderful.
Wednesday got to 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
It was we didn't LARP that day,
and we didn't LARP that day. Everybody went home or to my place. We all hung out. We took showers. Honestly, and I know Donna and I have said this a lot. I'm so glad that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it sucks that we had a whole day of shutdown. We needed that day.
Mm-hmm.
We needed that day to just not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion, my favorite way I've heard it described recently is think of Fahrenheit as a scale of 0 to 100 of how hot it is.
Mm-hmm.
So 100 is hot as fuck.
Yeah, hot as hell.
Anything above that, it has broken the scale.
Yeah, like, so I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have done more gathering quests. I wish I could have like gone and got ingredients in character. Like that would have been fun. But it was just so fucking hot, man.
It was so hot, dude. Like we had the plan. The kobolds had plans to do like 8 gather quests because like we're getting a little low on our high tier material. To my knowledge, we did 1, and I wasn't even there for that one.
Well, we did the one where we got the dragon head plant.
We did do that one. Yeah, okay, so it's 2. We did 2.
But I mean, I'm hoping that in the next few months we can come down again. When it's like cooler.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we can do some more stuff because I'm gonna get a camp stove that like takes wood because I so badly want to do like an oven roasted chicken. That would be nice.
I know I was showing you it, but we have every intention. Kobold Den is going to upgrade from that canopy tent to a full-on like.
Oh yeah, no, we're getting the yurt.
Big ass yurt.
We're getting the yurt.
I have had a setback recently.
Yes, and I don't often actually shill for money. Like I shill, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
We had this fantastic LARP, and Jessica's fiance Bean. Was in a car accident recently. She is fine, but their car is fucked. So if you would like to go to ! Linktree in the chat, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, that being said, absolutely please go help him out. He absolutely deserves it. Phenomenal person. One of my absolute favorite people in the world.
I don't normally actually ask for money, but like that's a little bit of a fucky wucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just got done spending like $3,000 to make this LARP happen, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now we can pay off like the debt that we built up, and we'll get all this stuff settled, and we'll be fine. And then our car looks like an accordion.
I'm sorry that I wanted to. I'm sorry that I'm laughing at that. But
no, I put it in a funny way.
I just imagined a car like. That's okay.
Like you're not wrong though. It legitimately is crunch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
honestly, like looking at that car, I'm amazed Bean is fine.
Oh yeah, when you showed me the shit, I was like, fuck, dude. But if you would like to donate, the Ko-fi links do work. I fixed the link tree, so every one of the links works. There's also the link to our Player One Coffee. There's a link to our new sponsor, W Energy at W.GG. Use code DOKUROGYM for 10% off your order of W.GG. That gives me a nice kickback, and of course, everything that is made by this channel, I try and throw, some of it Jask's way because, without him, we would not have a show. If you can donate, of course, think about yourself first, but if you can donate, please do. Shit sucks. Shit sucks real bad. And we appreciate you if you do. Of course, the Patreon link is also down there if you'd like to support us in other ways. But yeah, I meant to do that spiel at the beginning of the episode, but now we're doing the spiel now. So that's what it is.
Donald, can I post Linktree in your Discord as well?
Absolutely.
Your channel.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So
yeah, we did it.
Also, as I was saying though, we're looking at getting a big old tent for Kobold Den that actually has like a stove hole, and we can put an actual working camp stove in there,
Mhm.
and it's gonna like I know that Dono, you were talking about that you love Kobold Den because it feels so much like a home.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel like a fucking home.
Yeah.
I know. I'm
We're
excited.
we're getting that yurt. I want to get air mattresses are actually not that expensive, but
Yeah,
They're really not.
so I want to get. This is what I want to do. I want to get several air mattresses, like like 3 or 4, big
Yeah.
ones, and make like a kobold sleeping pile.
absolutely.
know-
So I mean, we probably will want to do the air mattresses, but I was already thinking because when I was homeless, I used to just I collected as many blankets as I could, and I would just make a nest out of the
Mhm.
blankets.
Blanket nest. Yep. Blanket
Um,
nest. Hell yeah.
and I like it's to the point of I had to be trained to like beds again.
Mhm.
I prefer to sleep on the floor.
Yeah. I like how
Uh,
Dono, I like how down you were for the blanket nest. You're just like blanket
yes.
nest, hell yeah,
Oh
hell yeah,
yeah.
blanket
God.
nest,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, hell yeah, blanket nest, hell yeah, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, blanket nest. I just
But,
the way
like-
you said that, I was like, hell
All
yeah,
I want.
motherfucker knows what he's about.
I plan to make a blanket nest and like line it with furs and it's gonna be so comfy. It's gonna be so comfy. I'm excited. But that's a problem for much more future me now.
So if you want to come lay in a blanket nest with me and Jask, $10 Patreon tier.
Oh shit. All right. Well, fuck. Let's go do that.
Donovan's like, fuck, shit, okay.
I will be back in just a sec. I have been asked by Bean to help her get up.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep talking about the LARP, please.
No, it's okay. So what would you like to say about the LARP, Dono, as a LARP man?
So we're gonna rewind a whole hell of a lot.
Okay.
Going back to your liking of class-based systems, there have been actually a fair few people that have come to the LARP and haven't been super down with the system, specifically because they're like, well, what can I do? And the answer of whatever the hell you want absolutely stumps them. They're just like, well, what can I do? And so the class-based system is a great starting point. It's a great place to just be like, all right, I'm this, and this is what I can do. So it's very structured.
Yep.
And so I completely understand you liking a class-based system, because absolutely, that makes sense. It makes it easier to create a character and just go.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why I like it so much is because when I first made my character, I did have that stumped feeling because Jask showed me, here's the skills, here's how this works, here's this and this and this, and I was like, so I could do anything I want. Fuck. Okay, hold on. And I really had to sit and look, and like I told you, after the LARP, I'm gonna rewrite Caden because after playing him, I was like, I don't know if I like this, what I have, and I think that is both the downfall of the system and one of the merits of the system, if that makes sense, because
It does.
you can do anything. But if you do anything and you do anything suboptimally and then you don't like what you do, then you're like, fuck, man. Okay, which I'm glad you guys have been like, okay, all you first timers, if you make a character and you don't like it, you can remake your character. I enjoyed that you and George are like, hey, I know there's a lot of people here who haven't played LARP before. If you want to redo your character after the first time, you can. And, that was really, it took a weight off my shoulders because I was like, okay, well now I don't have to sit with this suboptimal character that I'm not jiving with because I didn't understand how the system worked fully until I really, got out there and did it, So.
Yeah.
And that's a rule that wasn't just for this event. That's
Oh,
a rule
okay.
that we have all of the time. So
Well, that's dope.
you get basically 2 free rewrites. The first one is after your first event and before your second. If you're like, man, this is not what I'm thinking of for my character, it didn't work, or this isn't what I thought this did, or whatever, you get that free rewrite. And then literally any other time, you get 1 free rewrite. So if you play your character for 2 years and you're just like, man, this really didn't go the way that I was thinking, I'd rather do this, then yeah. And that
Oh.
goes for every character. So if you were to come in as a new character next event, you'd still have that free rewrite for, that character as well. So absolutely. Because I get it. There's a lot in our system, and without the class-based, you have just too many options. And I understand that is very difficult. So
And
we want... Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to the way that it evolves. Because I really want to see what you have on the horizon for different things you can do.
Mm.
Do you have any insight upon that in any way?
Honestly, we this is last event. We've been running this LARP, like I said, for 13 years. Last event is the first time we actually had like an actual rule book. So we have technically been in alpha for this entire time until last event. So it was really amusing that you guys came in at that point. That's actually one of the reasons. And I want to have a huge shout out for Legion or George or whatever you know him by for just putting in a shit ton of work before this last event. So yeah, there is a lot of we're always adding stuff, we're always, fixing it because we absolutely need to. And we always have an open invitation too. Like if you have a skill that, you're like, oh, this is really neat, throw it at us and we'll see. Obviously, like certain things just can't mechanically happen in a LARP. Which is very sad. Like we've tried, for a good example, we've tried like poisons or damage over time stuff. And I'm sure now that you've been to a LARP, you can attest that there is a shit ton of numbers you have to keep track of.
And that'd just be one more number you'd have to keep track of, and that's kind of yeah. So
yeah,
I understand.
So yeah. But yeah, definitely there will always be more different neat stuff, hopefully. So yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Your system, by the way, is what's called a living system. Basically, it changes as it needs to, as things happen. Which is a great system to have.
Yeah, what I would really love to see is like, I don't want to necessarily, because I have no idea how you would do it, but I would love to see a more fleshed out crafting system. Like I don't know how you would do that at a LARP per se, but I only got glimpses of the crafting system, and I was like, I don't know, like it felt
any more fleshed out, and it'd become tedious instead of like good.
Yeah, no, I understand. I don't know. Maybe it's just like, because like again, this was my first LARP. Do not take anything I say as gospel, please. I just like, I want to make a blacksmith character, and I want it to be like, I don't know. I think crafting systems to me just like they begin to feel tedious no matter what they are.
Yeah.
Because like for instance, I'm gonna use FF14, Final Fantasy 14 as an example here. So every time you have to craft something, you sort of play this little mini game. And each crafting skill has its own little mini game. And I was like, when I first started FF14, I was like, hell yeah, man! It's not just sitting and looking at bars, because that's how it is in World of Warcraft. You just press the button, the bar fills up, boom, you have the item. You actually have to do something. And by the end of my tenure in FF14, I was like, fuck, man, I gotta make a table? Shit!
Yep.
So, like, I don't know how you would make a living crafting system, but man, would I like to see a LARP with a living crafting system somehow.
So, a good example would be, I mean, even within the system itself, at Adeline Fantasy, so like blacksmithing, you just 2 of any of the metals, and then like one other material as a handle, and you're good to go for a weapon, depending on the weapon size, of course. But then when it comes to, which is great because like getting 2 of a material can sometimes actually just straight up be difficult.
Uh-huh.
You go on a gather quest and you're not guaranteed to get a bunch of the same material. You're going to get a smattering. But then like all the potions actually have like ingredients they require. So now making potions has become way more tedious because like, oh well, I need a fuzzy bean. Well, let's go on a gather quest and hope we can get a fuzzy bean. If you get too crunchy with your crafting system, it actually just gets to be a point where it's just not fun to do. Thankfully, with the potion making, there is like a list of things that you can use for potions. Like it's like these 3 herbs have healing properties, so you can use these 3 herbs for healing potions.
And that is something to think about, I suppose. Like, where is that wiggle room between crunchy and tedium? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, where is that golden space? You know, and I think that'd be something difficult to figure out. I don't know. I want to make just like a maker character who's good at making things. Like, that is so crunchy to my brain, but then you look at the actual system and it's like, okay, this is not at all what I thought it was, you know?
I think it's in a good spot. I think what could help improve it, and this is absolutely something that like probably already exists or could exist, is items to make your crafting better. Things like, oh, I have a blacksmith forge, so instead of like just kind of making this, I can actually like do things better, and this will make my equipment I make better. So just having things that like that could make it better.
Yeah,
to give a little bit more crunch.
Or like for instance, having a Fizzrep blacksmith hammer, or like you know, like being able to be like, okay, well, this blacksmith hammer is, you know, maybe. Okay, so to fully talk out what my brain is thinking right now, maybe like if you choose to take blacksmithing, you start out with a base blacksmith hammer, you know, and then you can go on gather quests to get the material to make that blacksmith hammer better. And then when you make that blacksmith hammer better, the weapons that blacksmith hammer can make end up being like +1 or +2, you know, and then like your crafting tools then have tiers. You know, of like, well, I've got an adamantine blacksmithing hammer, so like the stuff I can make is really dope as shit. You know, I don't know. That's something that makes sense to me, but then again, you know, you have your gathering character having to go on quests or sending people to, you know, get the shit for them. So, you know, again, that can devolve into tedium as well. So I understand finding the golden space would be difficult, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly, like we've had the crafting and gathering stuff made since the beginning, but once again, the last event is the first time we actually had it like written down and ready to go. So it's definitely going to need some work, and there's going to be stuff. But yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is with the items to make stuff better, absolutely that quote unquote exists. No one's really done it yet, and it hasn't really technically existed, but it does. That would be more of like a talent, at least in the current system.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it wouldn't necessarily be you make a hammer. It'd be like, hey, I want a talent to make my stuff better.
Yeah, which Trenton actually has.
Yeah.
Yep. And absolutely, you could definitely, like, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, I want to make a blacksmithing hammer to make my blacksmithing better, I'd be like, hell yeah, go for it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I dig that.
One of the ideas I had was once we get the yurt for the kobold den, turning the canopy into a forge area. Like we were going to get like Fizzreps and make a full forge area for people wanting to do blacksmithing.
Speaking my language, boy. Y'all ever seen Dwarf Dad on TikTok? Oh, sweet Morty.
I have, yes.
Yeah, he's great. He's wonderful. Shout out Dwarf Dad on TikTok. I love you. You're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, okay. For those of you who don't know, I'm gonna go in a little spiel about blacksmithing. I can, I myself, Jim, could probably not be a blacksmith. I would have to work really hard at it just because my body doesn't put on muscle like a normal human being. You know, blacksmithing kind of hard on the body. You know, so I have that against me. But I've always loved blacksmithing. I've always thought blacksmithing was like one of the dopest things. You just take you just take a metal, you make a sword. You just take a metal, make a sword. Bang on it a few hundred times, make a sword. That's what you do. That's how it is. You know, you want to make some arrowheads? Cool, you make them. You make them. You take metal, you make them. It's dope. Like I've always loved blacksmithing. Every single one of my like base characters in RPG, anything blacksmith somehow. If blacksmith is a thing, I can do it. You know, which is kind of what I wanted to do with Kobold as well. I wanted him to have a little interest in making things. You know, like the Smith boy. Um, but I want to make a blacksmithing character that's like I go get metal, I make weapon, I give weapon to people. I like that a lot. A lot. I like that. And it just makes me feel good in my heart to
Yeah.
be a blacksmith. That's just I love blacksmithing as a profession. Um and other like potion making, make it alchemist, that's fucking cool. I love crafter characters. They're so crunchy and good. They're like a nice bowl of cinnamon toast crunch. You gotta eat them fast, because otherwise they get kind of soggy in the heat. Yeah, but yeah, I crave a crunchy crafting system so big. And I love what I was thinking about just now when you talked about, having the talents. I love that sort of circumvents the tedium. So
Yes.
instead of, having a like +7 adamantine hellhammer that like, adds like a +7 in fire damage to the sword, you just have a talent that lets you do that. And so
Yep.
I like that in the system that's a way to kind of circumvent the tedium, is like, okay, you know. Um but other than that, uh what was you guys' favorite moment of the LARP? Because I've talked about mine, but I think we should each of you should talk about yours.
I'll let Donald go first.
Okay.
Oh god. Jeez, there was so many. I loved so the kobolds are an absolute force of chaos. For those of you who do not know, they are just they are screeching, like they're wonderful. I love the characters, and the kobolds themselves are actually like good beings. Like they don't cause too much like actual problems. They actually fix a lot of things. But
Otter!
just
Otter! Oh!
Otter. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, that was great. Go ahead. I'm
oh
sorry.
god. No, it's all good. So, but just because of what and how they are, they're so loud and screeching and pretty much all encompassing. If there is a kobold there, that is the focus because man. But they built I don't even know, a sword thing.
We talking about
Um
Jennifer?
yes, I am talking about Jennifer. Which is beautiful and I love it. And Jennifer is a sentient thing. It is a sword with thoughts. And so one of the greatest things in this event is making Jennifer actually like question their existence and life.
Mm-hmm. Because you were
Um
created by kobolds.
yep. And so just that as a because Eleanor is not the smartest. Eleanor is one of my characters, and she's not the smartest. Actually, it wasn't even Eleanor. Sorry, I played
Nope.
Eleanor a lot. Um, no, it was actually Bartholomew. My dragon, who just was like, he sees this small glittering creature, and he's like, I don't want to break you, but man, you gotta question your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That. Hmm.
yeah, it was really fun. Also, so that people know, Jennifer is a sword, but also a golem. Like the sword can turn into a golem. So that there wasn't like this dragon was talking to a sword. They were talking to the golem at the time.
I mean, it's all one and the same.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. So you got this giant dragon trying to help this rather naive gem golem achieve sentience. It was great.
yeah. So I've been meaning to like touch on that topic a few more.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you had a character bringing that up because the way that we made Jennifer skipped so many steps. Because like I mean, like especially at the end, where like, oh, the forge the ancient forge we were using got blown up, and the big old gem piece that we were using for this also got blown up. Jennifer's gone, and I used a god of time to change that. I wanted Jennifer to be naive because Kobold wouldn't think to like quote unquote program with them with all the life knowledge they would need.
Hmm.
So Jennifer is very naive. That like a great example of like just how innocent this character is. They have the skill pickpocket, where if you are able to count to I think 10 without somebody noticing, you get the pickpocket stuff from them. Jennifer will walk up and just start doing that in front of you. Like make eye contact and then start going through your pockets is essentially what she's doing because she doesn't understand the concept of ownership. No one explained it to her. Every time she goes to take something and somebody's like, no, she's like, oh, okay. And she'll leave it because clearly they're currently using it. But like, she does not understand ownership. No one has stopped to tell her, hey, people own things. You shouldn't take those things. She just keeps being told, hey, don't take that. And she's like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll come back for it later. When you're not using it, I'll take it. And that's how I've been like trying to show people that she is very naive, in like the most obvious way. But like, I also put on a very like naive voice, and she'll ask why for things in a very naive way. So finally, she gets pushed to like question her existence. Why is she being used the way she's being used? Why are people like treating her the way she's being treated and stuff? And then like she just starts on that process when a storytelling NPC comes in and puts her through a story that she actually lives through using magic, and she realizes even more things, and she's like, I don't think I want to kill things anymore. So I think she did one combat after that to like feel it out, realize she hated the feeling now. And ever since then, anytime my kobold goes to use her, he's doing 1 damage now because she's pulling back a whole bunch. And then just as she's going through that, I've been role playing like going off to the side and like yelling with myself, with me arguing with the sword. And then sometime after the argument started, one of the other kobolds suggested we use her as a bomb to blow up a different problem while she was like in sword form but in arm's reach of me. So now she refuses to do anything. She's doing 0. She does 0 damage now. And that leads into my favorite part of the event. My favorite part in the event specifically was calling 0 Mystic as I hit Marissa, and Marissa being like, "What?"
What? Pardon?
And then me yelling, "Jennifer, this is not the time! There are ghouls! People are dying! 0 Mystic! Jennifer! God damn it!"
That's pretty great.
And just
So
continuing to call 0 Mystic throughout this fight, and eventually just being like, Jennifer, I don't want to have to do this, but somebody is actively dying 5 feet from me, and if I can't kill these things, they're just gonna keep hitting me, so I can't heal them. Called 0 Mystic one more time, like, fine, I'm sorry, and then I hit her with a rage spell and just started calling full damage again for the next 15 seconds.
Mhm.
It was really fun roleplay to do.
So okay, so the Ring of Infuckening was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
But also, my other favorite part was the way Jesk says things sometimes makes me laugh. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience, sometimes he would say things and then look directly at me with just a deadpan face. And you said, "Oh, we're gonna touch him," and then just looked at me, just looked at me. And I was like trying to stay in character, literally gritting my teeth, just being like, Caden wouldn't react. Caden wouldn't
Oh, God.
react. Mhm.
Donovan's been through the same pain because I do that
Yes.
too. I'll say something absolutely inane bullshit and then look to Donovan, just
Yeah.
deadpan look at him,
I
Oh, we're
hate
gonna touch him.
all of you.
just oh we're gonna touch him, and then look to Donovan. You can hear the song "Prolonged Eye Contact."
Read a book.
You know what? That is why I killed the kobolds, okay? Just so you know.
A god comes down and just starts capping the kobolds in the head. 1,000 mystic,
Oh.
1,000 Essence scatter kobold.
Voice
Voice
radiance
radiance
as
as
Kobold.
scatter kobold. Jesus.
Mr. Caden, I don't feel so good. Just kobold dust. But no, the whole like just kobold in general, man. Just like sometimes you would say things, and I'd just be like, Caden wouldn't react. But then here I am losing my shit on the sidelines.
So, I mean, so to give an example, the kobolds will run into battle saying things like, I'm going to tickle your tonsils, in like a high pitched, like if you've seen Marshmallow People, that voice, or if you haven't, Mickey Mouse type voice. So imagine Mickey Mouse saying, I'm going to tickle your tonsils, okay?
Take
Several-
his shoes.
Several full-grown adults just being like, "Tickle his tonsils!" as we're coming in running.
Oh God.
I will say one of my favorite threats we've ever done was take his shoes, but
Yeah.
like in a prolonged like throw the cheese, like take his shoes, and then we like sprinted and paralyzed the person so that we could try to actually take his shoes.
Oh my God. That's
so-
lovely.
My favorite part of Take His Shoes was I'm out of game, which is denoted by hand or weapon on head. And I just watched this wizard, this evil wizard person run by me, and then like 6 kobolds run by, all just screaming, "Take his shoes!" It was, oh god, it was great, because that, like, my friend was playing, who runs the LARP with me, was playing that wizard, and just the look of utter terror on his face as these kobolds are screaming, "Take his shoes!"
Can't walk with no shoes. But so we've hit the halfway mark of the podcast. This is normally where I would do our ad reads yet again. Thank you to everyone who supports on the Patreon. Thank you to everyone who supports in other ways. Thank you to everyone who follows. Typical Furry 1234. Very typical of you. Thank you for the follow. Ray 818392. Thank you for the follow. Diligent Goose. Thank you for the follow. Sky Shay. Thank you for the follow. Adrenaline. Thank you for the 8 months of Prime. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. All our relevant links are down in the link tree. I'm going to hit them with the link tree again. You know how to do it to them. All our relevant
Also,
links are
I
in the
just
link
saw
tree.
Beep's here.
Go ahead.
Hello,
yes,
Beep.
Beep is here. Hello, Beep. Everybody, dunk on Beep for exactly 2 seconds. Smells.
Stinky Beep.
Yeah, there you go.
Beep stinky.
Well, do we have a new patron? It didn't alert me like it should have.
How dare it? You should teach it its lesson.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach it real good. Let's see. Let me look at the. Let me look at the I'm looking at the Patreon right now. Who is? Stop! Don't just show me what I want. Oh, Good Lord. Good Lord, with the $10 donation. Sheet. Oh my God. Well, I guess I can thank you in person. Whenever I see you, you're getting a big old handshake, buddy.
I was gonna say
There
that's the
you
crisp
go.
handshake tier, right?
That's the crisp handshake
No,
tier.
it says I get a
Yeah,
hug.
you
All
get a
right, I
hug,
think
and
I'm
you get a
gonna
hug
get
and a crisp
a damn
handshake.
good hug.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. But thank you personally for doing that. But we're gonna take a break. Because frankly, I need a water. We're gonna take a break for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna throw it to the BRB screen. You can hear my lovely BRB music brought to you by Atomic Crops. And we'll be back in like 5-ish minutes. Gonna go and get some drink. So yeah. Thank you once again. Be sure to check out the links in the bios. Help out if you can. That is all highly appreciated. But we will see you in about 5 minutes. Y'all take care for 5 minutes. Don't drown. And we have returned. Hello. Good greetings. Yes. Mother feed us, for we are but skin and bone. Yes, indeed. Don't you
Mother could not for us.
don't you love memes only we can see?
Yep.
The memeless chat hungers. Anyway, so I don't know what I wanted to talk about. I kind of exhausted all my things. If you guys will say things, feel free to say things. Say some things.
Okay. Well, some things.
Mhm.
I am so behind. So Dadari at one point brought up Abundant Few, and I'm really hoping that they actually, because I want a PC in a LARP again,
Mhm.
Yeah.
really bad, and every LARP like Warriors of Light is they're good, but they're not what I'm looking for. They're very story driven rather than player driven, and they also only have a player cap. So once their tickets are gone, you cannot attend their event. And I don't want to fight with a bunch of other people just to get in a spot at a LARP that I'm not like super into.
Yeah. The player cap kind of upsets me because like nowadays it's not as much of a problem because a lot of the kobold horde have kind of like started doing their own things. Life has caught up to them. Some of them have moved for better opportunities. So like we're a lesser horde. But like at one point we were like 10 people moving from LARP to LARP, and the player cap was what 60 people.
At Warriors of Light, 15.
15. Okay, so we would have been the entire field.
Yeah.
Like we would have been everyone but 5 people, and we could have filled the additional 5 people if like our like satellite members showed up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And that
gross.
would have sucked for you guys too, because they don't tailor. Like I said, it's story driven rather than character driven. So you
Yeah.
would have done a story that had nothing to do with any of you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's funny. I love the idea of it being kobolds and 5 other people.
Well, okay, so going back to Abundant Few,
Yeah.
so when that LARP was first being made, like it was first being conceptualized at the end of Shadowed Realms life. Like it was very clear Shadowed Realms was getting ready to shut down. And at that LARP I played a Knoll, and I had a Knoll clan, and I really loved the family aspect of this Knoll clan. So the person making the Abundant Few was like, hey, what do you want to see from a new LARP? Like, what kind of races do you want to see it as? Like, well, I'm really loving Knolls, but like anything that's clan based. I want to see something clan based. And so he put in kobolds and had their racial ability be like something called Kobold Battle Cry, where the leader of any particular kobold clan can call that, and then his levels in that will give boosts to everyone, essentially. And so we built around that concept. We created the kobolds. I think we had the idea for them worshiping the otter because, like, we were going through old videos that we enjoyed at one point and came across marshmallow people, and we're like, that's the voice for the kobolds. Also, they're going to worship a flying otter in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Tell them how you come up with lore for the kobolds. Tell them.
Yeah, I will get to that in just a moment.
Yeah.
And then, because of the Kobold Battle Cry, and because of the way Kobold leadership works, so Kobold leadership could be taken from you. Like, if I was the leader of the Kobolds, another person could come up to me. If they said my name, I challenge you to a duel. If I didn't accept, that would mark me a coward, and I could lose my leadership anyways. And if I did accept and I lost, I would lose leadership of the Kobolds, and they would become leader. So we came up with this idea that to protect ourselves from that, the clan names all themselves Kobold, but we spell it differently, only so that it's easier to keep track of for the people keeping track of characters. And then as we were coming up with more of this pantheon, because we wanted it to be a pantheon, not just one god, we decided that because the kobolds are unhinged, we too had to be unhinged when making up lore. So the only way we can come up with lore for the kobolds is at 3 a.m. or later, you just can't have slept yet, while drunk, and there has to be at least 3 kobolds present to add it to the document. Which has led to some really unhinged deities and faith things and holidays and stuff, which I'm super here for.
I love that.
But yeah, so the kobolds originally came from the Abundant Few Larp, and the way they're handling their system. Forgot what got me into that tangent. I feel like I was getting somewhere. I got distracted. I had been lost in the woods.
You've been lost in the kobolds.
Yeah.
Boys, we're lost in the kobold sauce.
Whoa.
No, but talk a little bit about like kobold lore in general, because I want this on record.
I mean, what do you want to know? So, largely to get into broad strokes, they believe that the deep sky, so basically where the stars are, is kind of like an ocean. They know that it's not exactly like an ocean, otherwise all that water would come down onto our heads. But they believe it's kind of like an ocean. And that the deities live within that ocean. And so, like, a lot of our deities are aquatic, but not all of them. And if you were to, like, look at our gods, it would make a lot of sense as to why kobolds worship that as a god, but not all of them. So, like, Sheldon, our god of defense combat, is just a big old turtle, a metal shell. Right, like of course that's what it is, because like some kobold with like a rock on a stick was trying to get a turtle killed and could not crack that shell, and was like, clearly this is of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's things like Keith, which is our god of combat, and he's what's called a hairy frog. So for those that don't know, hairy frogs in real life, what they'll do is they'll break their arms through their skin so that they have like sharp bone jutting out, and then stab you with that. So imagine you're a little kobold trying to eat a frog, and suddenly it breaks its arms and stabs you to death.
Mm-hmm.
The guy next to you is gonna be like, "What the fuck? I just witnessed a god murder someone." Stuff like that, or like other ones don't make as much sense. Like, how the fuck does a kobold know what an anglerfish is? Because it's funny. That's why. Our god of the sun, Gulamon, is an anglerfish, and so the sun is actually a lure that's trying to bring astral travelers to him so we can eat them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Donovan that I almost killed at this past event by threatening to rip Gulamon to us so I could kill him so he would stop making it so warm.
Keith is such a good god.
Or like other gods like Kamani, he's our god of luck, mercantile, and trade. I'll read his description. He's depicted as a terrible long beast covered in fur and thousands of arms he uses to travel on. His visage has a beaked maw and large, round, unblinking eyes. He's just a long Furby.
Yeah, you mother.
He's a long Furby. He's just a long Furby.
I am going to kill your gods.
I dislike that so much. If there was a level 1 to 100 dislike, that's 102, baby. Like, I don't understand. God. Okay, tangent time with Jim. I don't understand the fascination with long Furby.
They're so great.
Furby is already creepy as shit. You don't need to make it eldritch. Okay,
Yes,
I seen porn of long Furby. All right.
You need to send it to me.
Right, I'm not gonna. I don't remember where it was. Why?
I love long Furbies. I love them so much, and my dream is to own a Furby that has a bunch of doll hands like a millipede.
An eldritch Furby. A Furby, Malorna. Yes, a Furby. Yeah, okay. Malorna, if you've never seen long Furby, just Google long Furby.
No,
I'm not gonna do it. No, they need to know. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna show it to
Malorna,
you, but you need to.
Don't do it.
If you want a great example of a long Furby, there is a long Furby named Buttered Noodles. So if you just type in long Furby Buttered Noodles, she is grace, she is beauty. and I love her dearly. Somebody gave a Long Furby modeling hands, and it's fantastic.
I hate it.
But yeah,
Whoever,
so
whoever decided that that is a thing needs to be burned at the stake.
going back to the kobold religion,
Okay.
we didn't just stop at making gods because this is supposed to be a religion. So there's events and holidays. So like the kobolds fully believe in like different things. So like the blood moon, means that the otter has left the astral sea. Different clans have different meanings for this. We never revisited that idea. We need to, but at some point we need to figure out what the Moonspawn clan thinks a blood moon means. There's also the pilgrimage, which is aspiring shamans and religious leaders will attempt to travel as close to the astral sea as they can. Usually this ends up with them dead because they have ideas like, oh, load me up in a catapult, I'm going to cover myself in pillows. Let's see if this works. Or like they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to climb the tallest mountain. And then they freeze to death because they don't understand how mountains work. Stuff like that. But like those who get like what the kobolds perceive as close are more revered and trusted. Technically, Dissonance at one point had flown as high up as he could physically handle, which is fucking high, which made him the closest any kobold has ever gotten. But then, like, I think it was like the event after that he got unmade. So, then we have things like the Beckoning, which is spotting a goose hydra. Which, God, Dono, please give us a goose hydra. But spotting the goose hydra, the kobolds believe that however many heads the goose hydra has is the number of clans that need to be like called together and work together to solve a problem. So like if they ever see a goose hydra and it has like 4 heads, they're gonna be like, oh, shit, we gotta go find 3 more kobold clans, and we gotta convince them to work with us. They won't even know what for. They'll just know that they have to do it. They just have to, convince these kobold clans to work with them and then figure out the problem and fix it. There's the panic, which I know Danos particularly loves.
Oh god.
Yes. Kobolds don't have an individual fight or flight response. We have a clan-wide fight or flight response. So if a kobold starts to panic, they'll just screech and start yelling panic, and then it'll echo amongst all the other kobolds. All of them will freeze up. They'll all start yelling panic, and then the first kobold to choose fight or flight. The rest of the kobolds blindly follow until they die.
Oh god.
It's a wonder they're all still alive.
Hey, I'm doing my best to kill them, damn it.
It hasn't happened yet, but it's definitely going to have to. We have a holiday called April's Lament. The joke being that it's May to April. It could literally be any day. And it's a seemingly random event to outsiders. It is a day that the entire clan will take to mourn losses, tragedy, and general bad luck. Because for the kobolds, generally how they handle things is like, oh, Dissonance has died? Okay. And they'll just keep moving. It's because they bottle it all up, but then later they all unpack it as a clan and mourn together.
That's strangely beautiful.
Yeah.
No, but I really just want there to be a combat kobold who's like the #1 Keith worshiper, and he just has the name Keith engraved on his blade, and it's like a thing for kobolds,
Yeah.
It's like like the blade of Keith.
We had a combat kobold who worshipped Keith, but he used a gun. And he could do like 600 points of damage in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It left him at 1 health when he did that, but he could do it.
I just imagine like someone walking around on field with a sword with the name, like, take little strips of duct tape and write Keith. Like,
Yeah.
Just that. It's great. It's wondrous. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And Donald, on the topic of running abundant few, once we're out of this hole, I might actually look at doing it. I just want to make sure that I can do it and also help pay for Enlightened Fantasy.
Oh, I mean, it's more of just something that's neat. Like, don't do it because I'm excited about it.
Well,
Because
it's something I've wanted to do anyways. So
yeah, no, yeah, I've been wanting another LARP to actually, or a LARP to actually PC in because
yeah.
What's Abundant Fuse system look like?
Like, almost very similar. I think that's actually why I had such a good time transitioning to Enlightened Fantasy. It was very similar to Enlightened Fantasy, but we did have not a class system, but like a stat system essentially. So if you picked strength as your main stat, the opposite of strength was magic. So magic skills would cost slightly more for you, but not like a ton more. You were just more strength aligned than magic aligned. It has now been years since I've even looked at Abundant Fuse systems, so like I'd have to relook at everything to be able to give you a better explanation.
I
But
mean
like,
that seems really cool already. So
yeah. And then instead of having talents, what we had was like essentially once you got to a high enough level, you could access a kind of prestige class. And if there was like a specific prestige class you wanted that wasn't there, you would talk to us about it. And not all of them are necessarily classes. Some of them are like dedications to like lifestyles or like a whole on change. Like one of the prestige classes was a vampire.
Oh, Beep has made eye emojis in the chat.
Yeah.
You have awakened.
Another one of the prestige classes was noble. That could feed into king, queen, like different kinds of nobles. But like then you did have things like paladin, or fighter, or my favorite that I ever NPC'd as was monk, because I just took very short daggers and I could block with everything up to just past my elbow.
That's cool.
That counted essentially as using a shield, and it was really neat to do. I could even take my hand and like push the flat of a blade, but if I hit like what would be essentially the edge of the blade, I'd still take damage.
Well, no, that sounds really cool. Like, I would like to experience other systems the same way I would like to experience a bunch of tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I try out new LARPs all the time whenever I find them and I have the time and money and resources to do so. There's actually, is it Convergence? I want to try out Convergence. I haven't done them yet. And I think Alliance is the other one I haven't tried. Dono, have you tried Kanar?
I have not. Basically, I have never heard anyone say anything better than it was okay. And most people are like, no. So
yeah, the few times I've tried Kanar, it was that the player base is so click heavy. If you're not in the click, you're not going to have the best time. And anybody who tells you that it's not that click heavy is in a click.
Yeah.
See, I think that's the problem with like some RP places I've been to. Like, I feel like when you're RPing, you find people who you like RPing with, and then you stay with those people.
Well, yeah, and it's gonna happen, but the issue comes in when like your clique isn't inviting. Like I like to think the kobolds are fairly inviting. Like we're definitely a clique, but we try to involve others in our shenanigans.
Yeah. And that's I think that's again just like I was talking about when I was talking about crafting systems. There's a golden space for that.
Yeah.
Where you can have your cliques, but then the cliques can be open and inviting so other people feel like they can be part of said clique.
Yeah. Yeah. But like if you want to try out Kanar, I wanted to give Kanar my 4-yearly attempt to see if it's any better.
Yeah, basically I get the same answer from almost everyone about Kanar, is that it's just not good for new people, because if you're a new
Yeah.
person, pretty much everyone poops on you. So, um, and it doesn't feel like, even no matter how good the LARP is, if it sucks for new people, you have to be a new person.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So, not really something that I really want to put myself through.
That's fair.
Um, and absolutely, like, if I had, you or someone or whatever tell me, hey, we're going to Kanar, okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I wouldn't go there on my own volition at all.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was saying. Is like I want to go to Kanar, try it out again. Nick already goes to Kanar,
Hmm.
so I might see if some of the kobolds want to go. They don't have kobolds and they won't allow kobolds. I already know this because they wouldn't allow gnolls either. But we'll figure something out. We might just play the Crow family.
I mean, just because they don't allow kobolds doesn't mean we can't be kobolds.
Exactly.
Secret kobolds.
No, we
Kobold.
just play humans who act like the kobolds
Yeah,
act and talk
kobolds
Exactly.
like
in
the
a
kobolds talk.
trench coat and mustache. I'm not a kobold. I am a human man.
You're a kobold.
I think that honestly could be almost more funny as like the one-time gag. It wouldn't be as funny for like the forever gag, but like just a
Yeah,
bunch of humans who are named kobold who act like that.
absolutely.
Oh crap. Pardon me, gentlemen, I'm dying.
Ugh, die quieter.
No, we LARP now. You need to die loudly. People need
Oh,
to
that's
hear
fair.
you.
uh,
Jim, did I ever explain the die loudly thing to you?
yes.
Yeah.
I died loudly. I just couldn't get on the ground.
Yep.
No,
I was
you're
like,
Yep.
fine. I
in
get that.
pain, death.
Talking about how awesome Squid Guy was,
Squid
if
Man.
you didn't hear him when he went down in the greatest way possible, because basically when you drop to 0, you are bleeding to death. So you can like crawl, you can, you're literally bleeding to death. You can't scream out, but you can be like, help. And no, he flopped on the ground and just went, ow.
Pain.
Ow. And it was just so good.
There were so many times where I didn't even realize that he was currently bleeding. Like combat had wrapped up and he's like on the ground going, ow,
Yep.
ow, ow. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh! And I'll heal
Oh,
him, and he'll be like,
pain.
oh my god, thank God you did that, because I was about to go into bleed out, or into the second part of bleed out and die. And I was like, why? Say something more.
But like, it's perfectly in character too.
Oh, it is. It is
I'm
so in character for
dying.
him. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think everyone who I interacted with, everyone at the LARP was great. I mean, I had such a good time. I'm glad this one was my first LARP, something that was so free,
Yep.
Because I feel like if my first LARP had been something more constrained, I would have had less fun. Because as much as I do enjoy class systems, I also really like the fact that I can just be like, "Hey George, I want this as a feat. I want this," and they'll be like, "Well, what about this?" And I'm like, "Well, what about that?" And I'm like, "Well, what about this and this?" And then we make something. You know, it's very cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear that you had a good time, because obviously, like, the new players are important, because if you don't have a good time, you're not going to come back, and you might not potentially,
My
there's a
only
potential for
my
other
only
new players.
chagrin is living so far away,
Yeah,
because if I lived closer, I'd be there every month. I would
and
if I
that's
could,
amazing.
and that's my only chagrin is I wish it was closer so that I could come more, because I want to do more stuff, and obviously I'd like to see my friends more. That'd be great, you know. Um, but it feels I want to play Eugene. I want to
I
do.
would
I want to
love to see
do.
you play
I want to
Eugene.
do Eugene as a
Oh, I would
character.
love to see Eugene.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is, I mean, just like with Cobalt Voice, man, I can only do this for so long, you know. And
You got, like I mentioned, Kobold Voice was a thing that we practiced. Like, we would just be hanging out all together, just kind of hanging out and talking and stuff, and then one of us would do Kobold Voice or something, and we'd all be doing Kobold Voice until it hurt. Our poor neighbors, poor Bean, who had to hear it in an enclosed, very small building, stuff like that. We just practiced it a lot. You gotta practice it a lot, and it won't hurt you as much.
oh, I have practiced the Eugene voice a lot. I can do it for a decent amount of time. It just, eventually my throat starts to go, hey, stop talking from there.
Yeah.
Because just imagine a dragon chasing Eugene, and you get to hear me like the Eugene scream on field. Yes.
Oh God, yes.
I hope
Um,
all of you are familiar with Eugene, because Eugene is
Yeah.
fantastic.
He's great. Another thing you could do is make two characters, very much so like how I have Kobold and Elias.
Mm-hmm.
Make two characters, and when your voice starts to hurt from Eugene, swap.
Mm. Uh, I really after Hekna, I'm so tempted. If we do Zizix after Hekna, I'm so tempted to play Eugene in Zizix as well,
I think that could be a lot of fun.
because it's Zizix, dude. For those of you who don't know, Zizix is Jask's homebrew world. That's fantastic, and if you can get a seat at his tables, you should, because
Absolutely.
yes. But
I will be right back.
all right, good.
Okay.
But I miss Zizix. I wish I had more time to do tabletop. I wish I had more time to do everything. That's the crux. That's the crux of being a nerd. I wish I had more time to devote to my hobbies. Like, I just got some new Warhammer minis. Have no idea when I'm gonna put them together. I got them. Don't know when I'm gonna have time to put them together, but I got them. You know.
You do indeed own them.
Oh, Jask. What is the dream? What is the dream for LARP? Let's talk about our dreams, our aspirations.
Okay.
What
So
is
I've
the
talked
dream?
about it a lot
Yes.
previously. I don't know if you were there for any of the conversations. I think we briefly mentioned it at the dinner thing.
Mm.
My dream for LARP stuff is I want to own a large property
Mm-hmm.
to run a LARP off of,
Mm-hmm.
essentially 24/7.
That sounds really cool.
Because like I work from home
Mm-hmm.
doing Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
I have almost no constraints on me. So like if people just wanted to show up and start doing LARP things, I'd be able to come out and run that for them.
Mm-hmm.
And any NPCs that wanted to come out and help with that too, they can do that. Like I would probably be running the Abundant Few system, which had a lot of really good incentives for NPCing.
Mm-hmm.
Where like if you were building for a NPC kind of character, do that. Or like you would show up, sign into NPC, sign out of NPC, and then you get a fuck ton of golden resources because you just NPC'd a bunch. And your skills are like I think it was a skill called like trade, which was you got 1 gold per level of trade per hour of NPC.
Uh-huh.
And then all of your gather skills gave you resources, 1 resource per level of that gather, per hour of NPC.
Well, that just sounds. I mean, I like that gives you incentive to like LARP.
Yeah.
Like it gives you incentive to like do an NPC LARP, like be a guildmaster stuff. TBH, I want to make a system that makes PCing as a person who can't do combat worthwhile. Well,
So
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Inline Fantasy does that.
Mm-hmm. Like
Like,
I did almost no combat beep, and I got tons of XP for just cooking shit.
yeah, the extent of combat Trenton does is he T-poses behind the enemy. Like, the amount of times I've seen him run up and aggressively look at something as he's T-posing at it. That is the combat this fucking cryptid does.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back to the group and like do a stance and heal everyone. Or like having a character who just does crafting is a perfectly fine
Yeah,
thing to do.
you could just do crafting and be a healer beep. It's perfect for you. You can just heal things.
Yeah. There's also buff stuff. So like you could be a crafter who then also like, oh, everybody's well into combat. Okay, well here's a bunch of extra damage and a bunch of extra health. Like there's so much you can do within Enlightened Fantasy that is non-combat. Abundant Few is very much the same way. There is so much you can do that is focused on non-combat stuff. A lot of other LARPs tend to not be that way.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of sucks, but what can you do?
Yeah, I think Dystopia Rising does an okay job of it, but like I was talking about with Dystopia Rising before, there's only so much you can put into a skill area before you're like essentially soft locked out of it, and then later hard locked out of it until you like level up enough. So, if you're trying to make a character who's all non-combat skills, it's going to be really hard for you. You're going to end up having to pick up skills just to get those levels up, so that you can then get to the next tier of skills that you're never going to use. And then I think Kanar has almost nothing you can do as a non-combat, but that comes from like years old information. I think Kanar probably would have hopefully fixed that and done something for non-combat characters.
All right,
Assuming
gentlemen.
that was something that needed to be fixed, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've come to that part of the show where it is time for something that I like to call closing statements. We're about 10 minutes out from the end of the program. So we're gonna go down, but just because Drino Jask, you have the most experience in LARP, give your closing statements about what we talked about today. Just anything you would like to say regarding our topic, all the things that we've talked about. Just speak your mind for an amount of time.
All right. Well, I want to come in with you as Power Rangers at this LARP.
What color?
That is a thing. Okay. So don't beat me up, but I know next to nothing about Power Rangers.
Okay. What color Power Ranger you want to be, dog?
I don't know. What colors are there?
Any color that you want, really. The main colors are like red, green, blue, yellow, pink, gold, and silver and black.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You could be a male Pink Ranger. We only have one of those.
There you go. Hell yeah. I'm being pink. Fight me.
Yeah, you could be our male Pink Ranger. That's cool. Jask, what color are you calling for Adam Rangers?
I was gonna say pink.
Okay.
Um,
You could be the Yellow Ranger.
I might do yellow. We'll see if it ever does actually happen. I'll make a choice on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to be the Green Ranger. So because yes. But yeah, not to derail with more Power Rangers talk. Please continue, Donovan.
No worries, no worries. Oh man. But yeah, no, if you haven't LARPed, absolutely find if it's something you're interested in, it's not for everyone. But absolutely, there are LARPs everywhere, and I'm sure if you try, you can find one. Apparently, Didari here, found out about my LARP because I don't even know why, but apparently I was at a club talking about it. And, it found its way to Jask here, and Jask was like, yes. And now it's been how many years have you been going to Enlightened Fantasy now?
3, 4
Yeah.
before the pandemic.
Yeah. And like this guy is the main reason this LARP still exists. Like he is single-handedly paid for multiple events and like absolutely exists at every one and keeps me from ending the LARP. So
I hold you at gunpoint.
yeah,
LARP time now.
I mean, legitimately, yeah. For that Frozen event, I did not have a choice.
I think if I remember correctly, I think I said that you could go home if you wanted to. George can handle running it, and he did because you were so dead. You were non-existent. When I say that you can hear the Windows power down sound, I genuinely mean you can hear the
Yeah,
Windows power down sound.
So Drano, just because I want to run a LARP when it's cold, you don't have to come. I'll PC. I will do the shit. I want to be around a roaring fire in character, fighting things. That's what I want.
Okay, the problem is I wasn't even around. I'm NPCing, so I don't get to just sit around the roaring fire. I have to go out in the woods, and it's
So-
-degree weather.
What we'll do is next time there's a cold event, we'll just sit down and we'll discuss with the rest of the NPC stuff if it's okay if you just be Eleanor and sit at the fire.
Oh god. And I did. For that event, I played Ignan a bunch.
Yep.
Because that was something I could do. And I did do a little bit of NPC stuff when I wasn't dying.
So, what about you, Jask? What are your closing statements?
I don't know. I have a lot that could be said about LARP, like a shit ton, like a
Speak.
stupid, crazy, stupid fuck off amount, and none that's gonna fit into like what 8 minutes that we have.
Speak. It doesn't matter. Just speak.
So LARP is fun, and if people are reluctant to try it, fucking, I know it's not that easy, but try it. Like Jim had mentioned at the start of this thing, he was nervous too. But like once he got into it, he was like, "Oh, okay, never mind. There's literally no reason to be nervous." You will, of course, sometimes run into really bad LARP groups. I recommend if you have a bad time at a LARP, try a different one. It was probably a bad LARP. And if on the second time you don't have a good time, maybe LARP just isn't. Honestly, I feel like LARP can be for everyone. It's a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about Dungeons and Dragons, but then I have people that are like, no. So, sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it just don't click.
Yeah.
Continue.
I think that's it. Oh yeah, and if I do really want to run Abundant Few again sometime, so maybe I'll do that sometime soonish.
That would be
When we're
cool.
not when we're not dealing with accordion car.
Polka car. Anyway,
Distant discordant polka music.
Anyway, back down to me, Dokuro Jim. LARPing cool, LARPing fun, LARPing immersive, LARPing friend, LARPing good. You should do it if you want to. If you don't. But if you do, do. And just remember that to have the fun. Have the fun. Do your thing. Don't be afraid to try things. Don't be afraid to role play. Don't be afraid to be stupid. Try the LARP. Try the things. Do the stuff.
If you're afraid to be stupid, just think that I am a full-grown man who will wear a kid's raptor mask to show that I'm a kobold while screaming that I'm going to piss someone else's pants.
Mm-hmm. And just
In
know
a
that
high-pitched
you'll
voice.
never be as stupid as Jask. And take
Exactly.
comfort in that.
Literally, I am running at people yelling, "I'm going to piss yourself."
Yeah,
and people love it.
It's because it just works. It just works. Why? Because it just works. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it for us. Before we go, I would like to give another big old thank you to all our Patreon supporters, everyone who has ever bought anything using any of our links, everyone who has ever had a seat at Jazz Table. If you're here or you're not, thank you for doing that. Thank you for being part of this weird little strange corner of the internet that we have all to ourselves. And be safe. Don't drown. I have no idea when the next episode of this is going to be recorded, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. So be on the lookout for more content. Of course, tabletop content's not gonna stop. It's probably gonna increase. You know, hopefully. So be on the lookout for more tabletop content. Be on the lookout for more things from us in the future. Remember that we love you. Remember to love yourselves, and remember to love D&D and love dice and love LARPing and love us if you want, I guess. So y'all have a good evening or day or night or whatever it may be in your little corner of this spinning planet that we call Earth. Yeah, that's it. You guys have a good night or whatever. I'm going to say that again because yes. All right. Bye. Say bye, guys.
Okay,
Bye
bye.
bye.